Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about risks, taking risks. It's a topic request by a good guy who's a loyal watcher, viewer of this channel. So let's just get into it. You got to take risks in life. You got to take risks and chances. And that can be scary. A lot of us can become so comfortable in our lifestyles, just how we live, in our existence, in our survival. We've figured out a certain baseline of survival that we can do. And taking any risks beyond that, going outside of what we call our comfort zone, can be really scary for everybody. I've seen guys who get out of prison and they do long stretches, 20 years, things like that. And they have the hardest time assimilating. They'll have anxiety and nervous breakdowns every day. And it's just like, wow, I mean, you think you would want to be free. And a lot of guys who become institutionalized, they do long stretches, they just want to go right back. I've seen that happen numerous times. They just say, I don't like it out here. I don't like the way that you people program. I don't like the way that people are. I just like prison. And they get institutionalized. And that's kind of sad. But a lot of it is this comfort zone, what I'm talking about. They get so comfortable, even in their torture, that becomes comfortable. We can find a torturous life of misery. It doesn't have to be prison. It can be a shitty apartment in a shitty neighborhood. I've done that. Lived in the worst side of town in a fucking roach-infested piece of shit apartment, gangbangers on the other sides of the windows, cops everywhere, live in a surveillance state that people can't even imagine. And that becomes my comfort zone. I would feel more comfortable down there than I would any other side of town. I couldn't wait to get back down to the barrio for some reason. Even though walking to the store could get you killed, it just felt like that's where I wanted to be because that's where I was used to. Going to a job interview in Beverly Hills would give me anxiety. I just couldn't wait to get back down to the fucking most violent place in the world. Our comfort zone can really be your doom. It's a dilemma because we're always looking to create a comfort zone. That seems to be the point of life, to create a comfortable life, to where survival doesn't feel so difficult, where you're not suffering all the time. Right? That's what people's definition of a happy life seems to be, is to live in luxury, like hedonism, to have all kinds of shit, all the time. All kinds of toys and food in the fridge and money in the bank and, but that's all your comfort zone. To take risks means you have to leave that comfort zone. It takes a lot of courage. You have this dialogue we run in our head constantly of, what if I fail? If I try this, I want to go do this, but what if I fail? What if I can't make it? And then that can lead to further scenarios. And that type of looking forward to protect yourself can be a sickness. I used to do this, and I had to cut myself off and just have a little bit of faith that when the time comes, whatever's happening in the present, I can handle it. And there's no need for me to cover every base. That's not a successful way to survive or to formulate a plan. It's good to have a plan, but you don't want to overthink life and keep yourself stuck, because you can sit there and try to assess a problem forever. At a certain point, you have to just kind of act on it. A lot of that is how we attack a problem. Kind of depends on how that problem arises, because I'm no brain surgeon, but we have different quadrants of our brain that handle different levels of thought. So if we're in a fight or flight mode, that's a more primal kind of frontal cortex way to think. Then we have our more rational side. We have artistic and creative little section. All of this is neurological pathways, like a computer firing along circuitry pathways, firing electrical currents, sending signals to different areas of your brain. And for example, there's been studies done on this. when people are forced to handle an event that is involves risk. Okay, let's just put it that way. I'm just thinking the right way to say this. When there's something that happens and there's risk that you guys have to jump this building to the next building, whatever it is, and you force these people to do it, they approach the problem of jumping that building, that even if it's 4 feet, 3 feet, that can be very scary. Jumping 3 feet on the ground might not be a big deal, but when there's 2 buildings, that's terrifying. You go ask these people that grew up in New York City, they used to do that shit all the time. I wouldn't do that. But when you're forced to, you approach that risk with a sense of defensiveness, fear, and aggression, with an attitude of withdrawal and this kind of solitary, selfish, almost, for lack of a better word, feeling of, well, what if I die? Even if you're in a group, you're just thinking about yourself and your own life, and I don't want to die, I got a family, I don't want to jump that, I don't want to meet that risk. This is what happens when you force a group of people to meet a risk. It's a psychological response that people get into, like the fight or flight response. They get into an irrational, negative state. Now, this has been studied, and in the same study, they take and will have the same risk, but give the second group of people a choice. You can take the risk or not. Do what you want. On the other side is something that you want. If you want to take that risk, you'll get that prize, you'll get that reward. But if not, hey, it's up to you. It's your life. Those people all met that risk with a sense of enthusiasm and positivity and came up with a system of approach and challenge. As when you're going to tackle a project, you come up with all these different ways that you're going to do it. So it's just fascinating of how the brain works. When we're forced to meet risk, we can pull back and get scared. But when there's an option to meet risk, that same risk, we can figure out ways, exciting ways to overcome it. It becomes this challenge that we can't wait to do instead of something we're afraid of. So realizing this about ourselves, I always like to be the master of my own mind. To not let you or the outside world force me how to think. I can choose how I'm going to think. So now that I realize that I can go into risky scenarios without being terrified, I could actually go into it with excitement and challenge and thinking like, how to solve this problem. Especially, it was interesting that the people that were forced to take the risk weren't thinking as a team. They were all thinking as individuals and just kind of scared of this challenge. The people that had the option came together as a team and used teamwork. So there's, and when we come together as a team, there's a certain amount of openness. So I like to figure things out and to take my risks from a sense of openness, a sense of positivity, excitement, and challenge. But still, having a brain, you don't want to be so open-minded to where your brain falls out, right? With business, I learned it this way, that I never get too invested, or I never get so far invested to where I'm going to ruin the business. We have to take risks. And those risks often mean financial investment. And we have to take risks in order to grow the business. And we have to keep growing. Not that you have to keep getting bigger, but you have to keep looking for more profits. You have to stay up with just the cost of living that seems to raise each year. So you're always looking to maximize profits. I'm an American business. I don't outsource anything. I don't buy foreign products. So I'm not trying to run some kind of scam and maximize profits on the penny. I'm just looking for a way to have a successful business that can be viable 20 years from now, and that takes a certain amount of financial responsibility And when I look at risk taking financially with business, I never go all in. I kind of look at it this way where I don't want to fall past my last peg. Do you know that term? It's a mountain climbing term. So when mountain climbers, when they're climbing big peaks, big sheer face mountains, and I've done mountain climbing before, typically they would have a lead climber, and that guy's an expert and has got some real balls because he's climbing without a belay. And what he does is he climbs free climbs, but every 10 feet or so, pick a reasonable amount of distance, 20 feet, 10 feet, whatever it is, he'll hammer in a peg, and that peg has a carabiner on it, and your line goes through it. So as the lead climber goes up, he's setting the line for the rest of the climbers to go up. And it's more safe for the rest of the people than it is for the lead climber. That's why the lead really knows what he's doing. But if the lead climber should fall, he'll only fall to the last peg that he hammered in. So that's the way I kind of look at taking risks with business and taking risks in my life. You have to take risks. I tell myself, I allow myself to take risks and chances, just to kind of prime my mind for it, to get me open. But I take an incremental approach, a reserved approach. I'm not betting it all. I'll bet a little bit, see how it goes. Bet a little bit more. Get a little bit more courage with it. And I never bet so much. I never find myself betting the farm. I'm always trying to build something solid, with that risk taking. So with business, if I'm taking a risk financially, investment takes risk. You might lose it. But as soon as I win, I'm taking money and putting it back into the business, paying off debt, doing something solid with it. So I have ownership of something. With that money creates something solid and tangible and ownership. And obviously, there's the whatever you were investing in. So I actually get 2 wins off of 1 risk. I don't know. I think that we've kind of gotten to a stopping point on this just for now. Let some of this sink in. I actually have some notes and I have a whole nother train of thought, but I just looked at the time on the video and I can't go another 15 minutes. My phone won't even let me make videos that long. I didn't realize I was going to get so deep into this topic. But let's just stop here, let some of this marinate for a while, and I'll have to make a follow-up. So this is part 1. Thanks for watching.